Hey everyone. So today I'm going to look at creating a mixed task to generate some of the stuff that I tell people to set up whenever they use the Conduit, um, use Conduit. So for doing messaging. So basically, there's sort of two things that generally get created. One will be broker. This is kind of like your Phoenix router or your Acto repo. And then subscribers, the guys that get used here. Um, so we're going to um, start by generating a broker. So actually, I should open up the mix docs. So one thing I'll note is I've never done this before, but I did quickly read through the mix docs for this, and I also took a look to see what um, Elixir does whenever it generates a new project and what Acto does when it generates like repos and stuff like that. So I have a little bit of an idea. So the piece of mix that matters for us is these two pieces here. So basically create directory and create file, embed template, and embed text. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm actually also going to pop open the Acto um, GitHub repo. I just have good examples there, and so I think it's always worthwhile to use existing art where possible. So generally, if you look in lib mix tasks in any project, you can find these gen things, and they'll generally have something interesting. So with that, I'm just going to pop that open. So I've got Conduit open here. So I'm going to go ahead and create the directories necessary. So I want mix, and then, sorry, not a file, a folder called tasks. So inside there, I want to create a new file. So this will be conduit.gen and then broker.x. And we'll also create another one, which maybe we'll get to. Conduit.gen subscriber.x. Cool. So I'm going to work on this one now. So def module and actually I'm not sure how you name these. So mix task and then the name. Okay. So let's do that. Mix task conduit.gen broker. Do and so I'm interested in using mix task and mix generator. Use. Oops. And then import mix generator. Cool. So let me just take a look at mix task. So I need to define a run function, and it's going to get a list of binary, and those are the command line arguments. So let's define run, and we're going to get past args So what do people generally do for that? I know that in Elixir, actually I'll do it over here. There is there's some module already defined that allows you to handle parameters, option parser. So this is built into Elixir. Let's see, so parses argv into keyword list. Let's see, parse. All right, this is what I want to look at. I feel like the docs should contain this stuff at the top, just because this is probably the most useful piece here. But we basically want to take the option parser, and we can call parse on our args, and then we need to specify our options, and that's what we'll look at here. So one thing that I'm going to need to know is the OTP app that the thing is getting created for. I'm going to need to know the sort of the module name that you want to use. Let's just have a good example. Yeah, so something like that. And then, actually, let's do this in docs first. So I'm just going to comment this out right now. So let's just do @doc. There we go. So let's define what we expect this to be. So it should be mix, and then conduit, gen, broker. So we're going to need to know the OTP app. So let's just say my app. And then what we can infer from that is that whenever we define in the broker, we'll do it as like def module my app q dot broker, something like that. And then we can allow them to sort of customize it. So we can do a -b, and they can say just my app dot broker. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just say it's this. All right, and then the other thing that we'll want to know is the adapter. So are they using Conduit SQS, or are they using Conduit and QP? So let's work with those options. So for now, I'm going to assume that this is the one that they're going to use, and so they can customize it by saying a different one like that. Maybe it should be that and that. All right. So option parser. So we can define switches, And let's see, what's the output? Okay, so we can define switches, and those will get pulled out, and then anything that's not a switch will get put into list of args. And so these are all of our switches, and then this presumably is everything that's not a match. Errors, yeah. Okay. So switches, and so you can also pass aliases. Where's that? Okay. So here I'm going to do broker. That'll be a string. And then I'm going to do adapter, and that will be a string as well. And then we can pass aliases. And let's look at the syntax for that. So aliases. So just the alias and then the thing that it points to. Okay. So we're going to do B for broker and A for adapter. Cool. Let's break this over. So now what we get from this is our switches and we should get our args. So I'm going to pattern match this because I only care about the first arg. So this will be OTP app. And then, well actually, I might want to give a better message than that, so I'm not going to match it there. So let's call that args, and then arrows. Cool. So now let's see. So kind of. So one of the things that I'm sort of wrestling with in my mind is I kind of want to follow the pattern that Phoenix uses in Phoenix 1.3, where it keeps the web directory separate from your application. So it'll generate my app and put most of the stuff there, and then it'll generate my app web and put the sort of Phoenix specific stuff there. And so I want to sort of allow that to happen. The thing is, everything is still under the same OTP app. So like whenever you configure the stuff in web, you still would do my app, but the directory is different. So I kind of want maybe this to be a required option. And so I'll sort of infer the project directory from there. And then I'll use the OTP app for that. I just won't have to do anything special to figure out the user's intent there. So let's do it like that. We can one-line this at that point. So we've got that. So now I want to do some validation to assert that I'm getting these args. And then if this is present, I want to validate that it's one of the valid options. And then use that to override a default. So let's set up just our, actually, they had a good word for this here, so I just want to take a look. I take it back. It wasn't there. Let's go look at elixir lang, elixir mix lib mix task. Should be new here. Oh, that's interesting. I should probably do that too. I should just be strict. I should probably steal some of these names as well. App, module, assigns. That's what I wanted to steal the name for. So let's make this explicit. Let's change this to strict. Adapter and aliases. And then we won't have errors. So they call it argsv. argv. So for signs, I want to know each of these things. So I want to know the module. I want to know, let's just put something there for now. I want to know the app. So I'll just say it's my app for now. And then I want to know the adapter. And let's just say it's Conduit SQS, or AMQP for now. So I need to get from here to here. So I can start by doing just, actually, is there a way to do defaults with option parser itself? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Option parser. Any switch in our yeah, that's fine. See parsing. So it doesn't look like there's a way to say defaults here. What's the parsing dynamic switches part though? Let's see. So Oh, that's interesting. So it looks like you can basically just tell it parse anything that looks like an option as if it is an option. So you never specified anything here for debug, but it still pulls it out as debug equals true. That's interesting, but not useful for what I'm trying to do. Okay, well, that's fine. So what I'm going to be getting in args should be app and broker. And I'll come back and make that a better error message. But then I want to turn them into atoms. So app, that one's easy. You can just do string dot to atom app. And here I'm not worried about using string to atom since the user who's providing the input is the user who's creating this who's running the code generator. So I hope that you don't try to pass things that are going to blow up your console. So here I want to call string to atom on the switches adapter or conduit AMQP. And then here, this one's a little bit more complex, but we can figure this out in the terminal. So let's just do IEX. So if I have the string my app dot broker, and I want to turn that into an atom, if I just do string dot to atom, I feel like that's not going to do what I want. Yeah, so this is not a module. What we really want is, I believe this. Yeah, so that shows up the way that we want. So I wonder though, is there a module method for that? I'm not seeing anything. Split, create. What does create do? Oh, that's like def module almost. That's not what I want. Save concat. Make overrideable. Attribute. Save concat. Concat. Okay. It doesn't look like there's anything here. I'm going to try one thing, which is just using module.concat. Or well, I'm going to look at the docs at least. What is that? 1? Yeah. So, oh, interesting. I can pass a string there. So I wonder if this just works. So if I pass a string like that, oops, too many. Cool. I'm going to use that instead. So here I can just pass in the broker. And with that, we should be good to go for actually creating files. So we're going to assume that the app name here, actually, maybe we should allow an option for passing the directory. I think I like that. So let's say directory. What do other things do? Soup module. I say path. Maybe if I allowed you to pass the path instead, what would that look like? So if this was the path, and I assume that your app was also the path, would that work? So they do argv. If it's empty, raise no path. If it's greater than, if it's 1 or greater, then they match the path. They take the base name of the path and use that as the app. And then they check the application name, whatever that means. Mod, they do similar thing. Macro.chemlize. That's interesting. Let's take a look at that real quick. Macro.chemlize. Oh, but that's just a string name. And they validate. I like this pattern, so I'm going to steal it. So let me do case argv. So if we get no arguments, we're going to raise something here. We'll just do this for now. Also, if we get just 1 argument, let's see, could we do with just having that? And then they could pass module myapp broker, and then we just camelize this, and that's the default name. That's this part there. I like that. And then we don't really need to do the directory thing if we do that. that right? What does base name do? So let's say we have foo slash blah dot text. Okay. So it just takes whatever the last segment is. So if somebody were running this generator and they did my app slash blah, then we would assume that this is their this is the application name, and they can pass that otherwise. So this allows you to pass app, module. So I'd like to follow these conventions. So that means I probably can't use A for adapter though. So let's change this slightly. So let's say app, that's a string, module, that's also a string, and then adapter, that's a string. And then here, do they provide any aliases? Doesn't look like it. Maybe I'm not going to worry about that either then. Let's just do that. So we can write out what this is going to be now. So it'll be mix, conduit, gen, broker, path, and then optionally dash dash adapter. What's the syntax? Yeah, okay, just name the thing. Adapter. Dash dash app, and dash dash module. Cool. I'm late to the party, but what about string to existing atom? So the issue with that is that if the user is pushing, if the user is calling this task, and they're passing in like the name of a module or something like that, it's likely that that module doesn't exist, or that atom for the module doesn't exist yet. So using string to existing atom will just fail. The reason you generally use string to existing atom is if you're like running Phoenix or something like that and you can accept user input, and you want to turn that user input into an atom, you can use string with to existing atom to basically ensure that you're not creating new atoms based off of user input. But in this particular case, doing that is probably fine. I am thinking though that now that I'm thinking about it, since we're going to be generating the actual files themselves, we probably don't need atoms because we're just going to interpolate them into the source. So I'm going to get rid of that actually. Cool. All right, so now we accept one arg, which is path, and we won't care about if the user specifies a bunch of other args. All right, so now we have these various options, and we can default them if they are not present. So let's just move this into here right now. All right, so I'm going to just define a function for this. So get broker, and I'm going to pass in switches broker. Oh, sorry, not broker, module. And then same thing, get app, switches app, and get adapter, switches adapter. And so I may care about other things here. So for module, I'm going to care about the path as well. Actually, for both of these. So now I can define, let's make that private, get broker. Actually, let's call it get module to be consistent. Module. Then, so if there is no flag, then this should return nil. So let's handle that case first. So path, we want to get the base name. Yeah, so let's see, what was just path? Okay, yeah, right. So path dot base name path. So actually, let's get I keep going back and forth because I'm like, I kind of want to use the results of this as input to the other. So let's pull that out. So let's call that app equals that. And then we can do module equals this part. But we'll do it based off of app instead. And then we can just put app and module in there. And let's just go ahead and pull this out too. Cool. So those are our assigns. So path dot expand. Not out. Path. Or sorry, that should be app equals path. So path dot expand and then path.basename. So that'll give us the last part of the path. So here, the blah part. And then, actually, that's all we need. So let's just return that. Oh, I'm defining get app, not get module. So let's make that get app. And now let's define the case where the first arg is not nil. So that's app. And we don't care what path is at that point, so let's just return app. So now let's define get module. Whoop. Sorry, just reading the comments. So module, app module, not the other way around. You are passing app to get module instead of path now. Never mind now. Oh, yeah, sorry. I like switched the order that I was doing things in, because at first I was defining get module, and then I realized that really I wanted to define it based off of what I pull out for app, because it's really going to be the cannibalized version of it. And so yeah, I was essentially defining get module and then switched to defining get app, and yeah. But line 22 in assigns. Oh, yes, thank you. Thanks. Cool. So here, let's say if we get nil and then we get app, what we want to do with app is camelize it. So we can use that macro.camelize app. And then if the first arg is not nil, then that's going to be the module name. And we can ignore the second arg there. I may actually want to validate at this point, but I'll come back and do that later. So then adapter, that one's even easier. So get adapter. So actually, if this is nil, then we're just going to return Conduit SQS AMQP. I've been working on building the Conduit SQS adapter recently, so it's at the top of my mind. Adapter, and then adapter. Well, right now we can just pattern match on it, so you're not allowed to pass something that we don't know. Let's do it this way. So adapter when adapter in nil or conduit in QP. And then here we can just do conduit SQS. All right. So now we have our assigns. Let's create broker assigns. All right. So now we're actually at the part where we're going to be interested in looking at the generators. So let's take a look at mix generator. So I want to create a directory, which I have from path. Oh, I should have put path in there. All right. So I can ensure that that directory exists, and then I can create a file with contents, and then I can use this embed template to define a function, I believe. Is that how this works? Yeah, so I can use embed template, give it a name, and then give it some string for the actual thing that I wanted to insert in that file. What's the difference between embed template and embed text? Embeds a text given by contents into the current module. It will define a private function with name followed by text that expects no org. Oh, I guess it's just, do you want it to be able to embed something or not? So I'm going to be using this because I'm going to be embedding various things in the template. All right, so let's actually, what was that function called again? Create directory. So let's create directory. Signs path, and then let's create a file in that directory. So I'm going to create file path. So we're going to need to wait, what is create file? It's a get. I was like, why is it passing a path as a second argument? It's a get ignore file. Oh, it looks like there's some formatting issues here in the dots. That's broken. Well, we can come back and fix that for them. We're going to generate a file here. So we want to basically do broker file equals path dot join assigns path. That takes a list, and we're going to pass just broker.x here. So that's our broker file. Then we can do create file, and we're going to create broker file contents, broker template, and we're going to pass assigns there, and then let's see what options there are. So forces installation without a shell prompt. Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna bother with that. And then, so now let's define an embed template. So we can just do embed template, and we're going to give that a name of broker template. Doesn't add, oh, it does that for me, so let's just call that embed template broker. And then contents, we're going to, let's do it this way. So here we can then define it as def module. So I'm going to want to put the app here. So this will be at module. Oh, actually, you know what? I realized just now. So if they pass the module, I want to use that. If they pass this, I actually want to append dot broker onto that. So that way it'll give me my app and then dot broker. So that will be at module do, and then inside of here we will use conduit broker, and then OTP app, and that will be the app that we defined. So that's a string, but we want that to be an atom. All right, then well, that's pretty good actually. I feel like I should write some tests at this point. So let's do that. So let's do new folder here. Mix task. Oops. All right, so let's do conduit gen broker dot test dot exs. So mix task conduit gen broker test do x unit case async do I want it to be true here? I don't know, I'm going to be doing file system stuff. I can handle that by just using a different directory. So let's see. I want to let's describe run one. All right. So let's start with what do we want to validate? We want to validate that if we pass an option that is not valid, that we raise an exception. So we can do that with test raises exception when invalid flag is passed. They could be called switches. Switches passed. All right, so we can assert raise. I don't know what's going to raise here, but actually it should be option error. Option parser dot parse error. Okay, that looks right. And then we can do function. And inside of here we can, let's alias this. Alias. Let's just do it as gen.broker. It just looks really weird as broker to me. So now we can do gen.broker.run, and we can pass it all of our ops. So the first one, we're just going to pass it foo, and then something broken. So let's mix test, mix. Let's run that. Uh-oh. Oh, did I do that wrong? Alias as. What was the error again? Invalid value for option as expected a simple alias. Got nested alias. Oh, doesn't like that I did that. I'm going to go at gen broker then. We didn't get an exception. So I expected this to raise an exception because I'm passing something that's not allowed. I'm calling strict. Let's take a look at that. Parse bang. Exception if any invalid options are given. If there are no errors, returns that. Oh, does it only complain about things that are not of the right type? That seems to be what it's doing. I don't really care about that then. I can just leave that as is. So let's test something else then. Let's test that me just passing a path will create that directory and create the file inside that directory with specific set of content. Yeah, that's what I was expecting, but well, do you see anything that I'm doing wrong here to cause an error? Yeah, so my my running assumption is that maybe that doesn't actually raise an exception. Um, so I'm just going to test the actual. I would expect what it returns to see what we're missing. What do you mean? Inspect what? Oh, you mean? Do you mean like if we run this and just do like that? Oh, what? That's interesting. Oh, did I? Oh, I made a mistake. Let's try it with that. It was just seeing that first thing as a. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, it was just seeing all this as one string, and so it was like, that's not an option because it doesn't start with double dashes. All right, that makes me feel better. All right, so here, yeah, I use IO inspect all the time. It's great. um, Mainly because the debugger isn't quite as nice as I would like it to be. Like one day I was trying to use the Elixir debugger, and so I put in ix.pry, um, and I was expecting to be able to, or no, I created a breakpoint, and I was expecting to be able to call next, and what I didn't realize was, um, so like in the function that I had a variable called next, and so I was like, oh, this variable is um, hiding the fact that there's a next function. So I can't call next because of the variable. And then I finally realized, oh, there is no next function. So there's no way to, like, if you're in the debugger, to step to the next line, which to me is like an instrumental feature. Like you should be able to like step into and step over and stuff like that. So yeah, I tend to use inspect a lot just because of that. So here I want to test um, that we create the correct files. So creates broker in specified directory. Oh yeah, that is absolutely a useful feature, being able to put IO inspect in a pipeline. Uh, yeah, in Ruby world, I used to use this thing called tap, which basically allows you to sort of inject whatever into the middle of like a chain of functions that's similar. But yeah, basically being able to not change your code substantially and still find out what the output is great. So I'm going to do a path here, which is temp and I'm going to call it my app 1. That's just in case I want to use my app 2 for something. So if I don't specify anything else, this should run and create something in a directory for me. So I have a temp directory here. So it should create the temp directory for me as well. Cool. Now I should also capture the log here. So if we import xunit log capture, oh, what the heck is this thing called? It is capture log. It's just not auto-completing for me. All right, so capture log, and then we can assert capture log function and we'll do equals something. Actually, we can just say it should equal this. All right, let's rerun that. Oh, I should define some cleanup as well. Let's just do setup, do, we're going to say, okay, actually, just okay. And then on exit, we're going to give it a function, and we're going to do file dot remove rf temp. So that will clean up after ourselves. We should delete that now. Oh god, actually created that. Let's get rid of that. Nobody needs to see that. Where's our temp? Let me comment this out right now. I expected that to exist already though. Didn't like what I put there. Left. Oh, didn't put anything out in the log. Oh, it's not log. It's standard in or standard out. Capture IO is what I want then. I'm so used to using the logger. I pretty much never use IO in most of the apps that I write, so it's not natural for me to use this one. So it's just capture IO. All right, so let's rerun that. Oh. Of course it has color in it. And it says it's already here. I don't see it, so I think my editor is lying to me about what's here. Let's go look. Yeah, it's definitely there. Cool. So that's my sanity check before I actually write the test to check that. So it wants me. I really don't like the fact that it's putting color in there, but I can deal with it. So that's the green, then this is the reset. Oh, wait, what did that look like? Oh no, green, white, and then so creating that. And then this is the reset. So I do that there. There. And there. Alright, let's see that in action. I'm also going to just do this here right now so that it's not there whenever I run it, so it doesn't do this part. Okay, cool. So we have passing tests. So now we should be able to assert something about the file, the directory existing. So let's do file.exists. So we expect temp myapp1 to exist now. Well, let's just do all the way to the broker. So we expect that to exist, and we expect that the contents file.read of this should equal something like def module myapp1 dot broker 2 and use conduit subscriber. Cool. So let's run that. Oh, right. It's a broker, not a subscriber. And oh, I forgot the OTP app part. So OTP app should be myapp1. Cool. So let's now do some more. Configure, do, and let's put a comment in there, Q. So let's do my.q, and then from actually, you may not need from. Let's leave that off. And then let's do pipeline. So in tracking, actually, let's just take this from the docs. And they should be commented out. Cool. So, I'm actually going, I don't know. I'm debating whether or not I actually want the template defined here. It's probably not that bad. But let's move all this over. To here as well. It's kind of weird programming in doc strings. But I expect that should work. No failures. Let's actually make that fail real quick for sanity. Yeah, okay. Why was that error so bad? Oh, I guess it's not too bad. So yeah, let's add some more stuff here. So let's add, this isn't how I actually write these anymore. So in tracking, error handling, deserialize, out tracking, serialize. So usually here I'll do incoming, and then my app 1, 2, and then we'll do subscribe, my subscription, and then my subscriber, and then from, and we specify a queue. So let's say my app.queue. And then down here, the error destination is used by a publish. Yeah, so let's do outgoing, do pipe through, so we want to go through out tracking, serialize, yeah, that's fair. I'll think about that in a second. I specifically said creates broker in the specified directory, and so I'm sort of asserting that the broker itself is getting specified. And I was thinking that the other test would be like, if I specify different options, then I can sort of assert that those different pieces are different. So I think for now I'm going to keep going with this. So out tracking, serialize, and then I guess that's it there. So let's comment that out right now. And then we can do publish my event, and then to my event. think that's good enough for now. No, I wanted to add this part. And just comment that out for now. Okay, so we should get a failure real quick, and then we can just copy this over. Not everything though. Actually, we can copy everything over, and then we'll put in some variables. Start that up. Configure. Okay, so I'm going to put a variable there. So this is going to be app. And then that's fine. This we're going to put in I'm blanking, app module. And do my app here. Here. And oh, I missed this one. So this should be actually, so this should just be the camelized version of the app name, not the module, this module here. Is there a good method to split that off? Say module split. And then do, oh, actually, this won't work because it's the, oh, sorry, missed your, you were editing test instead of template with implementation. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm switching back and forth between them. So this guy, so I was editing it in the test first, and then I ran it against this guy. So here, so I actually want like my app one and not my app.broker. So I need to get just the beginning part of that. Thanks. Have a good night. Let's see. So I want to just get app one. I kind of want to do that up here somewhere. So let's do parent module equals get module, or not get module, get parent module from module, and then pass that through here. Okay, so with parent, I should define that function now. So get parent module, and we're going to get past the module itself. And we can just do string dot split on dot. And then we want to drop the last argument. So actually we can just do list.take. How's that going to work? We want to get everything but the last one, so we need to know the length here though. What's this guy? Delete first. I've got my app dot my sub app dot broker, and I do string dot split dot. I'm going to get a list, and I want to grab the first, everything but the last. So list dot pop at looks interesting. Really delete at is. I want it to be that, but I wonder if I can pass negative indices here, and it'll just sweet. Alright, so we're going to do that in here, and that'll give us what our parent module is. Oh, and then we want to join those back together. Enum. Cool. So now we've got our parent module. Which we can use here. And we've got that, that. All of that. I'll put app here. Alright, so let's run this. We should get a failure. Oops. The failure should be because we are not using my app one everywhere. And yeah, so we can fix this pretty easily. We should be able to find just my app usage everywhere. Oops. So 1, 2. So these should all be 1. And this should have my app 1 dot there. And then that should be my app 1. There's somewhere else here. Cool. So now we're passing. Let's go ahead and check this in. Actually, let's create next task to generate broker. Cool. So now, the other thing that we should do is tell the user how to configure their app and how to add the broker to their supervision hierarchy. So we can do that by over here. There should be a mix thing to allow us to do this sort of stuff. So mix task, what do we get? None of that. Shell. Shell IO. There we go. So info is like the way we want. Info. So we want to say, make sure to add the following to your config.exs. So now we can do config. We should know their app here. So we want to say assigns app, and then their module. So, oops, assigns module, and then I'm just going to put the AMQP config here. Then we can do AMQP:// I'm going to fix this later. I just don't want to think super hard about what to put here right now. What's the port? I think it's 6782, something like that. And then also add your broker to the supervision hierarchy. Is that spelled right? That's what I want. Hierarchy, there we go. In your application.x, so that should be supervisor children equals supervisor. Then it should just be, what do you pass here? I think it's just So it'll be the module name, assigns module, and what's the second argument? It's a supervisor. Oh, actually, I can just type here. Supervisor. Yeah, supervisor dot spec. Supervise. Children options. Oh, that's not one. Supervisor. That's what I want to look at. Module args options. So we don't take any args. So we're going to do that. And then strategy 1 for what is that usually in? What's the name of that function usually? Application. Start. Does it start? I'm just going to take a look at another app that I have set up on my computer. And yeah, let's start. So def start, type args, do something like that. I said application.x, but technically it'll be under the name of your application. So let's do interpolation here for that. So assigns app. So now we should get a failing test because we've added more output and we've also screwed up. So we just need to import. Next dot shell dot io. Shell. All right, so I wonder if there's a way that I can tell it I don't want color for this specific run. Let's see. So if we say, where are we doing that? So if we say info, there has to be a way to like say no color. Shell IO. Let's just Google that. Next disable color. So you can set it in your mix config. But no way via command line to disable it. Alright, well, I'm going to ignore that for now then, I guess, but I'd really like to get rid of that at some point. So I probably do want to do what was suggested and actually break this out into 2 tests because it's going to get kind of long with all of this output. So let me do that. So creates broker in the specified directory. Test prints let's see, what does it do? Prints broker being created and info about other files to update. Let's do that. So let's take this guy here and do that part there. And then creates broker in the specified directory. Let's get rid of this part and just run this. We're going to call that myapp2. And so that's that test there. And then the last one, test generates the broker with the expected contents with no customization. So that's what we expect the contents to be, and we can run this to generate that. So this is going to be 3, 3. Oh, I need to update everywhere. I had 3. And So there, there. So that'll be map 2. And yeah, so let's run that. So 2 failures. One is about I missed one of the my apps. So I should fix that one. And then, oh, we still want to capture the log, even though we're not testing this. So we can tag and do capture log, capture IO. Same thing here. So now, so where does this start? Here to here. So I want it to look like this. I don't need that. All right. And then what's this? I don't need that. Oh, and this is our existing. So it should look something like that. I know this new line is not going to be there, so it's going to break there. So let's just put a new line there. Okay, so after end, we expected a new line as well. So let's put that there. Cool. We're still printing out stuff, which shouldn't be happening. I'm doing capture IO there. I was expecting that to pick it up. I know it works for logs. Let's do xunit tag capture IO. I'm not seeing what I'm expecting. Let's do capture log instead. So capture is only the function possible for capturing IO. So all I see here is capture log, but no capture IO. Which, if that's the case, then I'm just going to wrap each of these in that because I don't want the output. So then do the same thing here. That's going to be 3. Give it a tag. Cool. That looks better. So with that, I think we're pretty far along. It's pretty close to 10, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. Let's just commit this, see what we changed. So we added the info message, and then we broke out the tests. Cool. So let's do that. So add info about other files to update. And let's go ahead and push that up. Cool. Who's my other viewer? Oh, hey Tyler. Well, thanks for watching. Bye everyone.